Okay, Ken. I think it's okay. I think I go press live. Perfect. I'll stream. No. Okay, welcome everyone. Hi, Jasmine. Welcome.
Hello.
I think we will just do a quick introduction first, and some people might still be joining in. So thank you everyone for joining us tonight. It's 9 p.m. Singapore time. So a quick introduction about this. This is a program that is part of the Our Human Minds company. And I have also been, besides that business, I have also been running a meetup community that have been running for like one and a half years now in Singapore, where young professional can come together to learn about leadership, social skills, and applied psychology, especially typology, so that people can become more confident and more authentic. And I think that is the biggest reason, because I think a lot of time as young professional and as new managers, we have a lot of anxiety, and I think that a lot of people can benefit from the ability to quickly read people and empathize with people of different personalities. And I think that is a very big foundation for a lot of people. And that is why me and Teodora, we have been experimenting and kept launching a flagship program we call it Cognitive Diversity Mastery Program. It's a nine-week program that help people master the two most popular framework in typology, MBTI and Enneagram. You probably have heard of it. And we think that it's going to give you a very strong foundation in people reading skills, and as a foundation for your leadership and management skills in the future. So maybe later, Tira will talk more about it later.
Yeah.
So Tira is our human mind training partner from Germany. She has many years of experience coaching clients in the US and Europe. She's a certified life coach, and she also graduated from a psychology program as well and master in conflict management. So we are quite lucky to have her today as a guest speaker to talk about the topic of Enneagram and relationship in the workplace. So with that in mind, I will pass it over to Teodora.
Thank you very much for the introduction and for another opportunity to talk to you guys. I'm happy to be here today to bring some insights from the Enneagram of personality theory or framework, and how we can use it in order to be able to navigate relationship conflict, both in our personal lives as well as in our professional lives. So I will share my slides. Let me know if you can see them well. All good? Perfect. So the reason why we decided to share the idea of how Enneagram of personality can help us deal with conflict in close relationships is because something that I notice all the time, and not just something that I notice, but something that is also part of typology theory, whether we talk about MBTI or Enneagram, is that a lot of people have this expectation that other people will approach situations in the same way. So if I have a specific type of mindset, if I have a specific type of attitude, other people, might approach things differently simply because they have a different personality type. And because of that, I have the wrong expectations. I expect people to do things the same way that I do them, or to look at conflict or to deal with conflict the same way that I do that, and that causes a clash. And because of these differences, sometimes we take things personally, even though those things have nothing to do with us or with the way that we deal with reality. I might have a conflict with one of you, and because you are saying something that is different from the way that I would think about things, I might take it personally and say, well, you actually have a problem with me. When maybe in reality, you don't have a problem with me, you have a problem with something completely different. And this is related to the fact that because of our different personality types, whether it's Enneagram or MBTI or another type of system, we communicate differently and we interact with each other differently, which is why I am a strong and firm believer in the fact that the more we understand about these things, the better we can relate with other people. So what we can do about it. Two really important ideas to keep in mind. True empathy and strong self-awareness. Both of these are very important ingredients when it comes to interacting with other people, when it comes to navigating relationship challenges. Empathy, but again, true empathy, not just a superficial empathy, enables us to understand why someone reacted in a certain way. Maybe I don't like the way that you reacted, but because I understand your type and the way that you think and the way that you process information, I'm better equipped to have compassion for you, to understand where you're coming from, and to not take it personally. If I have a strong level of self-awareness at the same time, this means that I understand my own triggers, my own fears, my own insecurities, my own sometimes dysfunctional patterns. And because of that, I'm able to manage them better. I'm able to maybe take a step back, detach from a situation, and deal with it in such a way that it's constructive for the relationship rather than destructive. So personality typology can support us with both of these goals because we get an objective and holistic understanding of cognitive diversity. So specifically about Enneagram as one of the typological related systems, the reason why it has an incredibly powerful, let's say, message or insight is because it helps us understand our fears. Every Enneagram type has a specific fear or a specific set of insecurities that are very, very much correlated with coping mechanisms. And when we understand those specific fears, we are better equipped to basically look at this question mark. Where are these things coming from? Why am I getting triggered in this situation? Maybe my work partner or maybe my romantic partner said something that I perceive to be very triggering. I get completely hijacked by my emotions. And as a consequence, we get into a big fight. Or maybe I don't get into a big fight. Maybe I'm very conflict avoidant and I just withdraw and I don't want to interact with that person anymore. When we understand the Enneagram, we get a really deep insight into why we're reacting that way, which means that we have the capacity and the tools to deal with the problem. Specifically for me, I'm an Enneagram type 2, which is also known as the helper or the giver. So a very deep coping mechanism or fear related to that is the fact that I feel much more comfortable trying to support other people and anticipate their needs and make sure that I people please. And the fear is that if I don't do that, then other people will not love me or appreciate me. When I understand this about myself and I see that I get triggered by someone who's being critical or who's being cold, I understand that it's not about me or them being right or wrong. It's simply because we have different styles. And now we can detach and we can actually deal with the problem. From a, let's say, research point of view, there are quite a lot of studies supporting the idea that Enneagram, as well as a general sense of emotional literacy, can help us deal with personal relationships better and also to achieve more professional success. So when it comes to the personal relationship situation, there is a study from 2019 which shows that the Enneagram of personality actually improves marriage satisfaction because it helps people deal better with conflict. Like I mentioned earlier, we understand our style and our needs. We understand our partner's style and needs. And because of that, we can deal and navigate with conflict in a better way so that the marriage and the relationship quality increases. When it comes to professional success, there's quite a big bulk of studies that support the idea that emotional literacy, which is related to self-awareness, that these factors have a huge impact on our performance at work. 84% change in the performance of employees is accounted for by the changes in the emotional literacy of banking employees. So the study was conducted in a bank, and they were looking at the emotional literacy levels of different people working there. The higher the emotional literacy, so also the self-awareness, also the ability to interact with other people successfully, increased the performance by 84%, which in my opinion is a huge, huge number. Of course, the Enneagram is not the only factor that plays a role in our emotional literacy, but it's a significant one because it's a very, very big tool for self-awareness. So if I'm to connect this with your personal stories or needs, have you noticed in yourself when it comes to personal relationships or professional relationships, any kind of difficulties in interacting with others and being a bit unsure as to why these things are happening? Can you come up with anything?
Yeah, like Jason, just now you mentioned about the big bosses doesn't understand the struggle of the middle manager.
Again, I
That's
beg
the
your
thing.
pardon?
Yeah, maybe you can elaborate a bit more on your issue at your current IT support role.
Issue. Previously, okay, maybe that one is it's a top management, but I think recently I was sharing the issues I face at work, the feedback I sent to my colleague. We are more, I think we sometime back, we have a new colleague who's, we guide him along, we guide him quite a fair bit, and he still decided to sit there like a boss instead of moving around to the first row to face the music. So then I shared it to one of our group, the personality type. I think Ching found out that I'm a extrovert, so I tend to voice out my things, voice out my views quite strongly, and yeah, so they and then I can't stand people processing their things internally, sitting there processing internally. I'll expect them to react. Yeah, then of course, at first I was worried that I'm the only one who is too sensitive. Then thereafter, I think many of my colleagues also send the feedback to our superior, and that poor guy was being asked to leave. Can't be helped because we are my office. We are expected to perform because we are facing frontline users. So if the whatever staff, how new you are, within the week, we expect. It's okay that you don't learn, you are shy, but at least you stand in the front row, face the music, shadow someone instead of sitting like a on stander at the back row. Yeah, so I think he's not a good fit for us. He'll be better doing a back end stuff instead of doing a front desk duty. Yeah.
I see. So he's
Um,
that person is more of a, you think he's more of an introvert or he just
Yeah.
shy?
I think he's an introvert because most of my colleagues who join us, within a few days, he or she will be bold or daring enough to shadow someone in the first room. Not expected to face users, but be expected to shadow someone. Yeah, but this guy, I think he was a bad fit lah. Yeah.
Right. By the way, do you have any idea what your Enneagram type is, or you are more familiar with the MBTI?
That was that you asked. I did a test. I forgot. I'm more of a. If I'm not wrong, is there Enneagram type of entrepreneur or something? I think.
Oh, is it ENTP? Enneagram, is it?
Yeah.
Enneagram.
3, yeah.
3, yeah. Makes sense. Yeah, the reason why I'm asking you is because what you're talking about is also something we will touch a little bit later, related to how different personality types deal with others and express their needs. And if you're a type 3 is an assertive type, meaning that the natural tendency is to engage with others, to discuss about the things that maybe you are not comfortable with, or the things that are important to you and you want to resolve.
Yeah.
So it's a more assertive and direct style of communication. Whereas other types, maybe your colleague being an introvert might be, I don't know, a type 9 or a type 5 or a type 4, where the tendency is to withdraw from conflict and withdraw from kind of interacting with others. So it would make sense if that was the case.
I found out from my result, I'm a type 7 for Enneagram. Yeah.
Okay, 7 is also an assertive type. So 3, 7, and 8 are the 3 assertive types.
Okay.
Yeah,
and ENTP, you said?
No, I think that's what I say. I don't think that's. When he said entrepreneur, I automatically think of.
No.
On 16 personalities, the ESTP is known as the entrepreneur, I think.
Because someone told me the group chat was deleted, NIFE or something. Something along the line of the more extrovert.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So this is a very good example of how different styles at work can create a conflict because people have different needs in terms of how they want to approach a situation, how they want to deal with it, how they want to communicate about it. And thank you very much for sharing.
Yeah.
Is there anybody else who would like to share something? Jasmine or Kenneth?
Jasmine, I think Kenneth is probably still outside. By the way, Jasmine, if it's convenient, yeah, it's really nice to have you on the webcam to see your everyone's face, but otherwise fine. Jasmine, are you there?
Yes, hello.
Hello.
Sorry, can I clarify what would you want to hear from us?
Yes, so the question would be if you have a specific example in mind of a situation either at work or in your personal life where you struggle a bit in relating with somebody else and you suspect they might have a different type or a different style.
Yeah, maybe I try to keep it short. I think with my partner, for example, maybe I'm a bit more conflict avoidant, but my partner could be a bit more direct. So then when it comes to more sensitive topics like for example gender, religion, those kind of things, then maybe he comes across as a bit more honest and blunt, and then I might not take it very well. And I think that's what you mentioned just now about a bit more triggering comments, even though maybe my partner might not mean like anything bad or negative. Yeah.
Yes, that's a very good example because again, it illustrates maybe if you're a conflict avoidant type, you might be a positive outlook type. So a type 2 or a type 7 or a type 9, potentially. Whereas your partner might be a more assertive type, like an 8 or a 7 or a 3, or could also be a competency-focused type. So this means that, again, one of you prefers to kind of withdraw and keep the peace and keep the harmony, whereas the other person is more interested in kind of directly engaging and dealing with conflict, which sometimes can also create a clash.
Yeah, I'm 2, 4, and 6, I think.
Okay, yeah. 2 and 4 cannot be at the same time because they are part of the same group, but it might be that you have some patterns that you kind of relate to when it comes to type 4 as well.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, 2 is a positive outlook type, so this means that the focus is a little bit more on avoiding conflict and focusing on the positives in a relationship. Okay. Good. So let's move on to a few ideas in terms of how self-awareness can help us in relationships. You guys have already mentioned a few ideas. One of them is that we understand each other and we can provide our partner with the thing that they need. So maybe I say, Jason, I understand that you need us to have a direct conversation about the things that we don't like. So as your partner, whether romantic or business partner, I can provide you with the opportunity to talk about things explicitly. Or maybe, Jasmine, I know about you that it's important for you to also keep the harmony. So I'm also going to try to provide you with the possibility to talk about things in a harmonious way. This is an example of how we can use the understanding of Enneagram to kind of meet each other halfway. Or we can go deeper and say, I see where your strong emotional reactions are coming from, and I'm not taking it personally. So maybe as a type 2, I understand that you're really triggered in this situation because you feel like maybe I don't love you or I don't appreciate you as much as you would need to be. And I understand that it's because of your Enneagram type 2 that you have this reaction. I can have compassion for you. I don't have to take it personally. Or I see that my emotions have more to do with my triggers than with my partner. This is more of a self-awareness moment where I recognize that it's me who gets triggered in this situation. And it's not because my partner is a horrible person or the other one is a horrible person. It's because there's something within me that gets triggered in this situation. And also on a more behavioral level, we notice differences in communication. And now, because we know that we can communicate better, and both of you have shared ideas related to both of these. In both of these situations, you talked about different communication styles, a more direct one versus a more conflict avoidant one. Knowing this about each other, we can meet each other halfway if we want to make the relationship work. Okay, so a little bit about me. Tuan has already mentioned, I'm a coach and I'm a trainer right now. I'm certified by the International Coaching Federation, and my background is in psychology, in conflict management, and in psychodrama. And currently, I live in Germany, even though I come from Romania, and I mostly work online, both with coaching and training on personal development, including personality typology. Okay, so today we will talk a little bit about the Enneagram as a system, and then how it correlates with emotional triggers, communication differences, and interaction style differences. And then later on in the workshop, I will also provide you with some practical tools for how to deal with conflict, regardless of the type of the other person. And we will still have plenty of space for Q&A. One thing here, if you have a question along the way, feel free to either write it in the chat or to raise your hand, and I'm happy to pause and take any questions that you might have. Okay. So for those of you who have not heard a lot about the Enneagram, it is a system that, of course, talks about personality, but it has its roots from ancient tradition. So it's actually a very, very old system, which later on got refined by modern psychology. And what it claims is that each person is an expert in a specific type of coping mechanisms. The Enneagram tends to have a slightly more negative approach as compared to the MBTI, because it talks about our fears, our insecurities, and our emotional triggers, which is why you will see that even today we will focus more on that side of things. Just as a brief introduction, here are the 9 types, okay? Type 1 is the reformer. Type 2 is the helper. So I'm type 2, and Jasmine is type 2, and Tuan is type 1, yeah, the reformer. Type 3 is the achiever. 4 is the individualist. 5 is the investigator. 6, the loyalist. 7, which I think Jason mentioned he is the enthusiast. 8 is the challenger, and 9 is the peacemaker. So you can see, even intuitively, if you look at the names of these 9 types, some types will be a bit more direct, more likely to engage with conflict, whereas other types like the peacemaker, the loyalist, the helper are more likely to have a slightly different and more conflict avoidant approach. And I brought a few examples from you. They're actually inspired from real life. Some of them are from my life, some of them are from people that I know. Of course, I'm not going to give names, but I want you to know that they're not made up scenarios. So let's consider this example. We have a relationship between a type 2, the helper, and a type 3, the achiever. They are in a romantic relationship, and type 3, the achiever, often comes home late from work. Type 2 feels unloved and unappreciated, and because of that they start getting clingy in the relationship. They want their type 3 partner to stay at home with them and to spend time with them, and this makes type 3 get really annoyed, and they might feel the need to get some space in that relationship. And here type 2 feels like if type 3 loved them, then they would not spend so much time away, whereas type 3 feels like if type 2 loved them, they would allow them to focus on their work and success. So my question for you is, why do you think this happens? What might be the reason for that? Any guesses?
They know each other, they know their own type, but they don't know their partner's type, so they don't know how to play to each other's games.
Yes, yeah. Exactly. Yes, so they don't know each other's types, and they don't know what the other person needs and how to integrate that in the relationship. If we look a little bit at the different fears and desires, type 2, the helper, has a core fear of being unworthy of love or appreciation. And of course, the desire as a consequence is to be loved, to be appreciated. Type 3, the achiever, has a fear of being worthless, without value. So their desire is to be valuable. So based on this, how do you think this information sheds some light onto why they have this conflict? Why did they react in this way in their relationship? Due to their fears and desires.
Do they have different priorities?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So maybe for type 2, the relationship might be more important, but for type 3, the work is important because they play to the fear and desires.
Exactly. And I would take this a step further. Type 2 is a very relationship-focused type, whereas type 3 is more of, or stereotypically at least, tends to focus more on work and professional success. But for type 2, this idea about priorities can come from believing that, oh, if my partner is not so relationship focused, it means that they don't love me and I'm not a priority for them. So they get triggered and they get upset about the situation. Whereas type 3 feels like, well, if type 2 really value the relationship, they would give them the space to do the things that they really like to do. So both of them actually want the relationship maybe to work or things to be good, but the way they kind of go about it is different. And unless they understand this about each other and also about themselves, this conflict will come up again and again. And this, by the way, is a personal example, because quite a few years back, I was in a relationship with a type 3, and we had this type of conflict. So it's inspired from a personal story. And it's a story from which I learned a lot. And the Enneagram was one of the best tools that I've used there. Okay, let's look at a different example. Type 8, the challenger, and type 9, the peacemaker. So type 8 is unhappy with how the housework is being done at home. They approach their type 9 partner and they tell them directly how they feel with a slightly raised voice, a bit more confrontational. And because of that, type 9 feels unappreciated, but they don't say anything in return, and instead they withdraw from the partner. They withdraw from the conflict. So type 8 feels like all of the responsibilities on their shoulders, whereas type 9 feels like their partner doesn't see them, doesn't recognize them and their efforts. Why do you think this happened? So again, type 8 is the challenger. Type 9 is the peacemaker. Just by thinking about those names or words, why do you think this conflict appeared?
Yeah, I guess okay, let me just
yeah
because I guess this remind me of my relationship with one of my close friend and also my housemate at the moment. So yeah, type 8 is, I mean, I'm a type 1, which is less I'm a one wing 9, so I can relate a bit with type 9. And yeah, I think type 9 is someone who is, I would say, is belong to the more introverted type.
Yes.
Who I guess I think is also like quite compliant in a sense.
Yes.
And type 8 is expect people to be the same as them, which is, if you are unhappy with something, you say it. If you do something, you should make people know that you do it. I mean, it's so I guess it's people just expect the other person to communicate in the same way, and they misread the other person. I think type 9 probably feel that type 8 is being too demanding and bossy.
Yes, exactly.
And not observant enough, yeah.
So if we look at communication differences between these two types, type 8, like I mentioned earlier, like 3 and 7, Jason, is an assertive type. So they like communicating in a direct way and sometimes even in an aggressive way if they take it to an extreme. Type 9, the peacemaker, is a very introverted type and tends to have a withdrawn communication style, which means that they communicate passively. They prefer to kind of avoid talking about the things that bother them. So what happens when you put an aggressive type with a passive type? Exactly this. So 8, being a direct, aggressive, assertive type, they might feel like, well, I'm trying to solve the problem. I'm trying to talk to you. I'm trying to come up with solutions, but you are not getting involved. You're not doing anything. So all the responsibility is on my shoulders. Whereas type 9 will be like, well, I'm here, I'm supporting you, I'm doing so much, and you're not recognizing me for the things that I actually do. So why would I even bother telling you how I feel? You will demand things of me, you will be bossy, you will control me. I've seen this actually quite a lot between these two types in romantic relationships, but also at work. I've had colleagues with these types, and usually the 8 was the boss and the 9 was someone in the team. And they were constantly like clashing with each other because of these different communication styles. Okay, next, type 6 and type 7. 7 is the enthusiast, 6 is the loyalist. So type 6 comes home from work and they are very upset about a conflict with some coworkers. They open up, share their negative feelings with the type 7 partner. The type 7 partner listens and then tries to cheer up their partner by changing the subject to a lighter, happier topic. Type 6 feels misunderstood and that their partner is not empathizing with them. Type 7 feels unappreciated for their efforts to make their partner feel better. Why do you think this happened? And Jason, as a type 7, maybe you have some insights here. This is a real story from some of my friends.
I think as a thought, you already give a hint that the interaction style is different. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So type 7 expect things to 6 to continue talking about it to solve the issue, but he changed the topic instead. So it's not very it's not. It's like and on the surface, you didn't go deeper to understand better instead of trying to cheer up the issue, not solving the problem. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yes. So type 7 tries to keep the conversation going, and to, not withdraw from each other, but because, and we will talk in a moment why this happened, because of the need that 7 has to focus on positivity, their type 6 partner might feel like they are not actually being heard for what they really need. And this is related to interaction style differences. So type 6, the loyalist, is a reactive type, which means that they have strong reactions to things that happen in their lives, either positive or negative, and they expect other people to feel the same. Both of my parents are type 6, by the way, and also my best friend, and they all say the same thing. If I'm upset about something, you should be upset with me. If you care about me and you love me, you should support me and be on my side. But 7 is a positive type, like type 2, by the way, where the focus is on the positive and to try to help other people also focus on the positive. So actually, the type 7 had maybe good intentions to cheer up their partner, to make them feel better. But the type 6 partner had a different need to be heard, to be listened to, and to kind of to have the space to be themselves and to show their negative emotions as well for their partner. And again, because they communicate differently, they interact differently with each other, this type of conflict occurred. And actually, I introduced my friends to the Enneagram, and it was very insightful for them because they were like, oh, really? That's how you think? I did not consider that. I judged the situation based on my own experiences and my own preferences. Okay, and I once also was talking to someone who was a type 6, and he told me that he thinks that having a type 6 and a type 7 in a relationship might be a disaster because type 6 might always feel stressed that type 7 is always like going somewhere, doing things, interacting with others, seeking novelty, whereas type 6 has a stronger need for stability and kind of doing things in a more structured way or similar to how they've done it in the past. But actually, I've seen this relationship work beautifully if the two people are aware of their own tendencies and that of their partners as well.
By the way, a quick question.
Yes?
Do you subscribe to the idea that two types like next to each other tend to get along tend to have a lot of potential to understand each other very well? At least from my own observation.
I do. And the reason for it is because of the wing influence. So as we know from the Enneagram, we have a core type, so the 2 or the 7 or the 1, but we also have a wing. And the wing is always a type that sits next to us on the circle. 2 can have a 1 wing or a 3 wing. 1 can have a 9 wing or a 2 wing. 7 can have an 8 or a 6 wing, which means that we will get a bit of an influence in our personality from the neighboring type. And because we get that influence, we have the potential to kind of understand them on a deeper level, and for them to also understand us on a deeper level. I think that would be the explanation as to why it happens.
Yeah, or otherwise, I think it's just a simpler way to look at it is that it's like the Enneagram is like a circular evolution of personality. So you go from 1, and then you go a bit to 2 and 3 and 4, and then you go back all the way back to 8 and 9, then back to 1 again. So there's a way it's just logical for you to connect and transition from the type next to you and not go jump all the way to the one, let's say the opposite one. So
yes,
yeah, because from my experience as a type 1, I always get along, at least for now in my workplace, I get along. It's always almost 100% I get along very well with type 9. And I was surprised to find that some of the type 9 people are not well liked by some other people. I was like, how can you not like type 9? They are like the nicest people I ever met. Or even type 2, the same thing. I was like 9 and 2 next to me on the right side. Type 9 and on the left side, my type is type 2. They are like the nicest people. I mean, of course, you don't expect them to be like extremely competitive for someone who can support you in, let's say, business, for example, or competition. But how can you dislike them? But then I realized some people like type 4 or someone who is further away, for some reason they just don't like them. I couldn't understand how can you dislike someone who is so mellow and so easygoing.
My guess would be that type 2 and 9 suppress a lot of their feelings and what they want. So after a while, they become resentful and passive aggressive. And sometimes that can be worse for others than to be direct from the beginning. And I think that might be a reason, especially for type 4, because type 4 focuses so much on authenticity and being yourself. So they can see through type 2 and 9 when they're being a bit like fake or pretending that everything is fine, even though maybe it's not.
Yeah, I have to give to type 4 to be they can make very good psychologists.
Yeah.
They're very, if they are well adjusted, I mean, can balance between emotion and logic, then they're very sensitive.
Yeah, definitely. Okay, any other questions or comments from anybody at this point?
Oh yeah, I have a question. I think, Teodora, I think I heard you saying that both of your parents are on the same type. So, would that be a bonus or a bane? A good thing or a bad thing that finding a partner of a similar type would be easier for the relationship to flourish or something?
Very good question. And I ask myself the same thing. I have kind of a twofold answer. One of them is that it can help with understanding each other better, but it can also be highly triggering. Because if you're not aware of your own insecurities, you will see the same things in your partner and you will get annoyed at them because you will project at them. And they might do the same with you and project at you. So unless you have an understanding of what's going on, you might actually get into a lot of conflict with each other. The more you understand yourself, the more you will understand the other person, and consequently, you will be able to interact better. Now, specifically for my parents, in MBTI, they have very different types, ESFJ and INTJ, which technically are not such a good match on paper. But because they're both type 6, this has helped them to communicate better and strengthen their relationship with each other because they have this common ground in terms of what they value in life. Did I answer your question? Does it make sense?
Yeah, that definitely makes sense. Like previously, I have a partner. I think we are completely different types on both MBTI and Enneagram. So we tried to get along with each other and see whether it progressed for 2 months. And I throw the medicine. She gave me a medicine. I throw the same medicine she fed me back to her. She can't take it and be part on good ways. Yeah.
That is also something that can happen, most certainly.
Yeah. So it does help. I think another thing to add, I have a friend I have a quite close female friend. We are both a Gemini, so both of us can click pretty well, and we didn't very much get into conflict as compared to my 1 or 2 past dates. Yeah.
Okay.
So understanding each other personality types does helps. Yeah.
Sorry, just to make sure I understood correctly, this last example that you gave, this person is the same type as you or a similar type as you?
Oh, my female friend that I conflict to her a lot, we are the same zodiac type. Yeah,
Oh,
both
zodiac
of us,
type.
yeah, both of us are Gemini. So
right.
Yeah, so our birthday I think is pretty close by about 1 or 2 weeks. So yeah, we click with each other quite well. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I actually loved zodiac signs when I was younger, before I went to university, before I learned about typology, because I was so curious to understand how people like work differently. And I actually found out last year that Carl Jung, when he created the typology system, the Jungian typology system, he was inspired by the astrological archetypes. So he's not saying that if you're a specific zodiac sign, then you are a specific personality type, but there's something there that can influence the psyche. So who knows? I would love maybe to do some studies to see if this is actually true. Okay, so for the last part, I want to share some practical tools with you when it comes to dealing with conflict in relationship. This one here is my favorite tool in conflict management, and I learned it during my master's. It is called the pyramid of conflict. And it says that in any conflict, every person has a position, an interest, and multiple needs. The position is what we say that we want in that conflict, what we say that we expect. And usually people get stuck at this level. I want this, you want this, and then it feels like we cannot solve the problem unless one of us wins and the other person loses. So if we go back to our examples, let's say for type 6 and 7, type 6 wants to be listened to when they talk about the negative emotions, and type 7 wants to cheer their partner up. And they seem to be stuck at the position level. However, if we go deeper into this pyramid of conflict and understand both our interests and needs and our partner's interests and needs, we can solve the conflict much faster and easier. Because the interest is about why we want that position. So maybe for type 6, the interest is, well, I want to be able to share with my partner the things that are not so good in my life, because that's something that is important to me. Whereas for type 7, the interest might be, I want to make sure that we have a positive, harmonious relationship. And then we go deeper at the level of needs. Why do we have these interests? Well, maybe type 6 will say, my need is for emotional expression and to be heard and understood, which are fundamental human needs. Whereas for type 7, the needs might be to be free of pain, because this is something that type 7 wants to avoid, emotional pain. And also to be safe, because if I avoid something that makes me feel very uncomfortable, I feel safe. So now that we know the needs of both parties involved, it is easier to solve the conflicts by asking the question, which solution would fit both of our needs at the same time? So for example, we might say, well, both of us need to feel safe. So type 6 will say, I understand that for you, type 7, getting trapped in emotional pain is very scary, but I assure you that this situation has nothing to do with you. It's just about me needing to express myself. This is not going to overwhelm me. I just need to be heard. And type 7 might say, I understand that for you, being safe means being supported by your partner, so I'm here to support you. This is just an example. It can look differently as well. But the deeper we go into interests and needs, the better we are equipped to solve the problem in a way that lasts long term, not just a compromise that lasts for a few hours or a few days. And I will share with you that my professor from my master's, I think he was an INTJ and a type 8. He was quite conflictual. He was also a professional mediator, and he shared that he was using this model with clients who were, like, for example, having a conflict in business, like 2 managers or 2 CEOs. And usually they were fighting for huge amounts of money. But in reality, the problem was a very personal one, related to their personal emotional needs. And when they got there, the problem got solved faster. They avoided going to court. and they avoided losing huge amounts of money with a win-win solution. This is the key idea here. Another tool is nonviolent communication by Marshall Rosenberg. It's one of my favorite tools, and it's extremely practical, which says that when we have something negative to say, to give negative feedback to someone or to address a problem in a relationship, we should first start by stating the facts. What exactly happened? Not my interpretation of the situation, not a general evaluation, but what really happened in reality. Then we should talk about how it made us feel. This is called me communication. So we're talking about us, not pointing fingers. You are the horrible person. You did this and you did that. No, I felt sad, or I felt unheard, or I felt disappointed when this and this and this happened. Then it's important to explain why that thing is important to us. So again, going back to the type 6, type 7 example. Maybe type 6 will say, it's important to me to be heard, which is why I felt upset when you didn't let me finish my story. And type 7 might say, well, it's important for me to create a positive, harmonious relationship, which is why I try to cheer you up. And then the last step is to suggest future improvements. So we don't get stuck in blaming each other and being upset at each other. We actually look for solutions that fit both parties or all the parties involved in the conflict. This is a system that's very applicable in whatever conflict you might have. It's just a matter of practice, because sometimes when you're caught in very strong negative emotions, it might be a bit hard to do it. But the more you practice, the better you will get at it. I now do it with ease because I did it a lot, so it comes naturally. Okay, so we talked a lot about the Enneagram, how we can use it, why it is important, how it influences relationships, and we also talked about some practical tools in dealing with conflict. As Tuan was saying at the beginning, this is, let's say, a snippet of what we like to discuss. Yes, Jason, did I see a raised hand? No, you are just rubbing your hands. And this is related to our 9-week program, where together with our clients, we explore both MBTI and Enneagram as two complementary systems. So in this diagram here, you can see the way that I kind of represent the two in my mind. I see MBTI, or the cognitive functions, as a skeleton. So the way our mind works, the structure of our minds. Whereas the Enneagram is our soul, the part that moves us, because it's so much related to our fears and insecurities. So the better we understand how the two work together, the better we are able to understand ourselves as well as understand other people. And for those of you who haven't yet, heard about it or explored this further, the first level has 3 lessons where we basically give you an introduction to both of the systems, just to have an idea, an understanding, an overview, and to identify your type. And then the next 2 levels are advanced levels, where if you decide to move on, you can also go deeper into understanding both of the systems in a deeper way, and also to understand how to interact with other people as well. And here we have 2 links where you can find out more information about the course, called Cognitive Diversity Mastery, or set up a free discovery call with Tuan, where you can ask any questions you might have about the program or clarify anything else that, you still need to kind of discuss or go into details about. And before we go on into the last Q&A session for today, I just want to leave you with my favorite quote related to self-awareness. Who looks outside dreams, who looks inside awakes. Carl Jung suggested this quite a few centuries ago, and I believe it's one of the strongest ways in which we can create impact in our lives. Self-awareness, self-awareness, self-awareness. So thank you very much, and we still have a few minutes to spare if you have any other questions related to conflict, to Enneagram, or even to MBTI or cognitive functions.
Yeah, so ultimately is I just want to kind of re-emphasize that ultimately it is, I think the what we are trying to do is to help people to gain confidence through self-awareness and through true empathy. We call it true empathy, as in we empathize with people and care for people the way they want to be treated, and not just assume that everyone is the same and everyone want the same thing as what we want. So again, MBTI and Enneagram are just two very big and important tools as something for you to start to reflect and apply about yourself. And I think the two things that we want to focus on in the program, it's not just about the framework, but we want to have a foundation for you, because there are so many online information nowadays that there are a lot of information that are inaccurate.
Yeah.
And I believe that you need to have you need to have a correct foundation. That's one, so that you can start applying, because it can take many years for you to apply that framework. And second is that it focuses more on self-awareness. I can't stress that enough, because a lot of courses, a lot of guru nowadays, they focus they talk about like very fast way for you to influence people, to win friends. And I think that in the long term, especially in very close working environment or with your partners or family, you can't really use quick way to to win people over in the long term if you don't understand yourself and understand deeply other people. And so whether it's through the customized coaching call, through the 9-week program, the purpose is the same. We want you to discover yourself and your self-confidence first. Yeah. Back to you. Yep, Teodora.
Yeah, thank you very much for that. And I second that with all my heart, because it upsets me and it saddens me to kind of see this culture of let's find a quick fix for everything, 1, 2, 3 steps to solve all our emotional problems, because that's not really how things work. And if we have that approach, it's less likely that we will be happy and fulfilled in our relationships and also with ourselves. But yeah, if you have any other questions, or you want to find out how to deal with a specific problem, and that might be correlated with Enneagram, I'm very happy to help and answer any other questions you might have. Okay.
Yeah, Jasmine, any question? Kenneth, any question? You can type your question here. Anything you need advice from a relationship coach? I think a lot of people have problem with overthinking. Maybe type Jason may not be, because I think it's have more to do with like type the hard type like 4, 3 and 3, 4 and 2. Yeah, usually they are the one with the most anxiety. And need to be like any quick advice on how to overcome overthinking when you think that you upset people?
So my biggest insight, and this is something that I learned personally because I'm a type 2, is whenever I feel anxious about other people seeing me in a certain way, I try to stop myself in that moment and ask myself the question, why am I here in this relationship, in this program, in this workplace, or doing this presentation or whatever? I'm not here to impress. I'm not here to be liked by everybody. I'm here to actually have some sort of contribution, whether it's, I don't know, a professional contribution or whether it's a personal contribution. And I then ask myself the question, how can I actually increase the likelihood that my contribution will be positive for people around me? Because if I do that, I focus on behaviors rather than on these very general and out of my control kind of things. Because people will like me or not like me, it's not really under my control. But what is under my control is to do things in a meaningful way and in a way that is aligned with my values. So that would be something from my part about overthinking.
That's good. Yeah, taking a step back and asking the why. I think that's important. Jason, Jason seems a very confident person actually. You don't seem to have a lot of anxiety.
I've been through a lot last time, so come to where I am now.
Okay.
Okay, I think just if there's no further question, then yeah, thank you so much, guys, for joining us today. I will send everyone
Thank you.
recording. Thank you, Jason. Are you coming for Jason? Are you coming for the next meetup in this Sunday meetup in Singapore?
This Sunday,
Sunday is 5 p.m. You come and talk to the people.
See should be okay. Yeah. Should be
Yeah,
fine.
you have not been to the physical meetup before, right?
I have been, organized by Caris and Ching at the office, but I've not been to a meetup organized by you. Yeah.
Yeah, I think the recent one. I think that one is not. It's more like it's a informal meetup by Caris.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you can join us on this Saturday, Sunday, I think it's usually the group is bigger.
Can I see my schedule? I think now I'm very much involved with my church, and I think Christmas coming up, so I'm not sure whether there be any impromptu church duty to be done this Sunday. So yeah, I think I'll confirm again on the Saturday or Friday.
Yeah, sure, man. And I know it's Halloween. It's near the Halloween. People might have party. Or I don't know if church do anything on Halloween. I don't know.
Not for my church. Actually, I think we don't quite advocate celebrating
I
Halloween
think
because
it's more for entertainment. I don't think
for
so.
entertainment. They are so worried that am I worshipping or celebrating Satan? No. It's just for get together with friends and just have fun instead of celebrating